Good afternoon, everybody who's out there. Welcome to today's PMG webinar on Catalog Sprawl, IT Gone Wild, where we will be discussing the results of our latest survey. Whoa, there you go, that's who I am. Cesar Fernandez. I am your host today, Director of Product Solutions here at PMG. I can be reached at cfernandez@PMG.net should you have any questions regarding this webinar. Before we get started, just a little housekeeping. You can go ahead and ask any questions you want via the chat window. I'll take those questions at the end of the event. The webinar today is scheduled for approximately 30 minutes. You can also email me with questions at cfernandez@PMG.net. And you can, I'm sorry, I had a little technical difficulty there for a second. You can also, you'll also be receiving a copy of the slide deck and a recording of the webinar after the event, as well as the survey, which we'll be discussing as part of our webinar today as well. Would you all just give me 1 second, please? I apologize for this. I guess I wasn't showing my screen is what they were telling me, and I apologize for that. Anyway, as we go ahead and move on, the topic of today's webinar is catalog sprawl. And so what is catalog sprawl? Well, catalog sprawl is a condition that exists when organizations introduce multiple front-end tools to their customers. Traditionally, IT has always tried to help their customers with, with the services and, to order the services and make those requests that they need to fulfill their day-to-day job. So what IT has done is every time a customer has a need, hey, let's go out and look for some tool, right? Because it's what IT knows. Let's go ahead and throw some technology at the problem. So customers needed to report incidents and, make a request. They went ahead and introduced an ITSM tool like ServiceNow or BMC Remedy. They needed to go ahead and order a piece of software. What did IT do? Well, they gave them a catalog, either a homegrown one or some bolt-on to one of their existing ITSM solutions. So another customer goes to one place to do an incident, to report an incident, another place to order a piece of hardware. They needed to onboard an employee. Well, here's your PeopleSoft system. Now I got 3 places to go to. Needed to request access to a system or get some role provision. Where am I going to go? Oh, here you go, Microsoft Forefront. Go ahead and get your IDM in there. And now, most recently, with the advent of the cloud, folks need to get these cloud services. So what does IT do? They go ahead and introduce a cloud. They go ahead and they introduce a cloud catalog to their customers. So the sprawl starts to take shape, right? And we start going down this. We start spiraling down this catalog sprawl where your users went from, not having any technology solution and having to go to, a fax or a phone or walk over to Mary and Joe's desk to go ahead and get something, not exactly knowing how to procure that service or get that request fulfilled, to having too many IT tools. And you know what? They still don't know where to go or how to go ahead and do this. So let's go ahead and take a look at our surveys. But before we do that, why don't we go ahead and talk a little bit about the survey demographics. Our survey was a blind survey of approximately 236 corporate North American IT professionals. 51% of them were in the executive or management function. We got 49% of these companies had 5,000 or more employees. 69% had IT departments with 51 or more employees in them, and 44% of these companies had more than $1 billion in annual sales. And of course, our companies were, they went across industries and represented industries such as computer technology, consulting, healthcare, financial services, retail, and so on. So, what did our survey find? Well, our survey found that catalog sprawl actually is a widespread issue, and 71% of the respondents said that they actually had 5 or more customer-facing tools within their organizations. Those tools that I described earlier, ITSM tools, identity management tools, hardware and software procurement tools, cloud tools, and so on. And what they said was they were experiencing issues within their companies because of this. 72% said that they were experiencing increased administration expenses, and this actually went in hand with some of the other findings on this slide. 39% said that there was poor chargeback to the business users, to the business units, I should say. 52% said that there was increased software expenditures. 38% increased license fees. So you see, there was a cost component here. Companies were not able to manage their costs, and they were seeing losses there. In hand with this, 51% said that there was decreased control over their apps. IT started losing control. Customers were going outside of IT to go ahead and get the applications and the services they need, and this ties in hand with an increased risk in security. Now you've got your business units and your customers going outside of IT to procure these services, and you may have a marketing department that wants to go ahead and start a campaign. They can't get that cloud server or that cloud service internally. They're going to go outside and they're going to go ahead and get that cloud service outside. So you've got an increased risk where confidential information may be placed outside of the organization. So what is the issue here? Well, the issue is that we have way too many catalogs. Companies just have too many of these, and 43% of our respondents said that catalog sprawl was hampering their organizations. And the type of catalogs that they were using was, as we indicated in one of our opening slides, 87% of these types of tools were service desks. Just about every organization today has a service desk tool. And most of those organizations also provide some sort of hardware provisioning catalog as well. And in some cases, still even 50% of them have an identity management system as well as some sort of onboarding and offboarding solution. So, at a minimum, most of these companies, at a minimum, more than half of our companies had at least 4 of these in play at any given moment within the company, causing that confusion for the for your users. For your customers within the organization. And the last finding is not all that surprising, and that cloud service catalog tool is also pretty much on the rise. And the survey, we actually had a survey last year on cloud sprawl, and we realized that cloud sprawl was was a growing concern within organizations. And what organizations have done to try and combat that is yet provide another tool to their customers to go ahead and try and manage that situation. So you see, it's just the same story. IT sees an issue that their customers are facing, and what they do is try and implement another tool to try and satisfy that need that the customer has without realizing that there may be repercussions to introducing yet another tool. So what winds up happening when your users have way too many tools at their disposal and they don't know where to go? Well, they're going to wind up going where they know they can go, and they're going to go ahead and shadow IT. They're going to circumvent IT, and they're going to go ahead and get the services that they need and the offerings that they need to do their day-to-day jobs outside of IT. And this is across the board. This isn't just 1 or 2 departments. As you can see, marketing, sales, HR, finance, all of them, they will go outside. Let's look at that marketing example again. Marketing has a campaign that they need to start. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to try IT first, and IT may not be able to get them what they need immediately, or they may not even know how to go about procuring of some sort of a web server to go ahead and get this campaign started. So they're going to go outside, and they're going to say, oh, you know what, I can go to Amazon. So they're going to go type in Amazon.com, go get their web service, and get their campaign going. What marketing doesn't realize is that they may be putting client confidential information out in the public domain. They may be putting it out there where it may be accessible by others. And that could compromise that could compromise the campaign and lead to a whole bunch of legal ramifications as well. Also, marketing, once the campaign is over, marketing may just forget to turn the service off. They don't need that server anymore, so that server continues to run. Campaigns for 3 months, campaign ends, server keeps running. Marketing, they're just paying, for that service that's just not being used. So shadowing IT causes a lot of issues in both cost as well as security, as our earlier slides indicated. Those to be two of the top issues of catalog sprawl. So what is our solution? Well, the solution is a single pane of glass. 57% of our respondents believed that achieving that single pane of glass was going to be important to the organization and help to resolve a lot of the issues that that they were having within their organizations and with the catalog sprawl issue that we have. And also 95% of the respondents said that a single pane of glass would be effective inside of the organization. As we took a look at and rated by importance, this particular survey result, we found that 42% believe that period of usage would greatly improve. Again, that marketing example. Cloud servers are not going to be left up and running. Customers can go ahead and order a service for a particular time needed and then have that service turned off immediately. If we take a look at some of these other numbers, 41% said that, 39% said the degree of service level increased because there was more self-service, and most of the provisioning could have been, could be automated, and that there would be service tracking, so the customers would know exactly where everything, where their request is at any given moment. Role management is also enhanced. You can go ahead and onboard an employee a lot easier and provision those roles and the system access that an employee needs, as well as once the employee is offboarded, he goes to work for another company, you can remove all that access, right? You don't leave, access there to, compromising, which could go ahead and compromise the company. And then there's the asset tracking, being able to know who has what, so that not only do they not leave with the equipment, but you can reallocate that equipment to someone else without having to purchase new equipment. So putting in that single pane of glass and having everything go through one portal where it can easily be tracked and managed was going to be very effective, as 95% of our respondents had indicated. So how many of our respondents said that they were going to go ahead and implement this single pane of glass? Well, 59% said they were considering doing it, and moving forward with it. However, even though they want to go ahead and implement the single pane of glass, a lot of them did say, that there would be some hurdles that they have to face. The biggest hurdle was going to be from, buy-in from business and IT leadership. 42% said there was going to be a hurdle with buy-in from the business, and I think it was 33%. Yes, 33% said that there was. Oh no, not 33. 31% said that there was going to be buy-in. Difficulty in buying from IT leadership, and that's where it starts. I mean, you've got to get those leaders to go ahead and buy into, to buy into this. Another couple of, another few hurdles that we have in here was going to be lack of cooperation, from the people who, initially introduced, some of these, tools. There's going to be, with legacy and application hardware, again, it's that mindset. Hey, I went ahead and implemented this. It's my baby. I want to go ahead and continue moving forward with it. And of course, security and control, security and data control. You're going to, there's just a whole, you're going to face a bunch of issues with security, and with data when you want to try and implement a new tool. Those are concerns that you need to take under consideration, in doing it, because you're going to be tying into, multiple systems, and how are all these systems going to, going to go ahead and communicate. So 59% said that they were planning to consolidate or do this. Well, what about those that, have gone ahead and implemented this? Well, 73% of those that have tried have struggled to achieve a single pane of glass. Again, what are the reasons? 66% said there was a lack of leadership from top management. Kind of like, verifying that previous slide, right? It said, one of the greatest hurdles that people that were going to go down this road saw was that buy-in, and leadership. Well, 73% have confirmed that, that there is a lack of leadership from top management in trying to achieve this. Another finding here was that there was a lack of cooperation from end-user departments such as marketing, sales, and HR. Again, this could be tying back to the whole legacy system thing, right? They don't want to lose control. They feel that they have job security. They may have introduced these tools, and they're running these tools within, their own departments, and they're very comfortable with it. So it's like, it's my baby. Don't take it away from me. I want to go ahead and not lose control. This is all about job security. We got to try and get away, or try and get around all that and educate. So how do we resolve the issue of catalog sprawl and what's going on at the various client sites? Well, what you do is you implement an enterprise service catalog, right? That single pane of glass. It's one place where your customers can go to procure all the offerings and services that they need, anything from onboarding to ordering a keyboard, getting telephone service, ordering system access, to mail, to cloud services, to your mobile, to BYOD. With the one single pane of glass, your customers go in, order what they need, report on what they need, request what they need, and from that point on, it's just taken, all the way through to fulfillment. It's monitored, it's tracked, and it's housed within the one place, and it's just one place that your users, or your customers, I should say, are going to be going to. So, how does this work? Well, why don't we go ahead and take a look at an example that we all know that we can relate to. It's an onboarding example. We've all started a job at some point, or had someone start a job and work for us. And within our example, here we have a manager who needs to go ahead and bring an employee into the business. With an enterprise service catalog and that single pane of glass, the manager can go ahead and start that process at any given point. He could start it at the point of, I need resumes. Please go ahead and send them to me so that I can review them, or to the point where at the point where he's already determined who he would like to go ahead and onboard, has already gone through that process and just submits a request to the HR department. So let's go ahead and take it from that point and say, hey, I've got this employee I want to go ahead and onboard. He fills out a form with particular information about that employee as well as the role that he's filling. That request gets sent over to Human Resources, who goes ahead and schedules the employee to come in to get a drug test, to have a background check, and fill out some paperwork. Once all that has been completed, the manager can be notified via the via the same tool, via that single pane of glass. He can monitor our request, and he's notified that the employee has done all this. He's passed his background check, he's passed his drug test, and he's ready to be onboarded within the same tool. The manager just says, okay, great, I approve it. Let's go ahead and get him started. Here's his start date, and we get the ball rolling on bringing that employee on board. Notifications are then sent to IT to go ahead and procure hardware for that individual. At the exact same time that that's going on, the communication services are notified that the employee is going to go ahead and need a phone, and they'll go ahead and start working with facilities to get some office space so that they know exactly where that phone is going to go, and some furniture can be ordered for that employee, or a cubicle procured for that employee. While all this is going on, we're going to go. We can automatically provision email and get the system access that the employee needs to go ahead and get his job. So all of this is happening simultaneously, whereas before it would happen in a serial fashion, right? We do step 1, then we get step 2 done, then get step 3 done. Here we're doing all of it at once. We can also at this time go ahead and send the request out to security to go ahead and get a badge so that the employee has access into the building. So when he comes in on day one, that badge is out, or at least the temporary badge is waiting for him, and he can go ahead and have his picture taken. It's all been pre-approved. He gets his badge, and he can go ahead and enter the building instead of having to wait for someone or have to make several trips back to security to try and get his ID, his ID done. And once the employee comes on board, well, he may see that he needs additional services. He may need some cloud service to get some particular project that he needs done. He can go into the same tool and order some cloud service, and because he had originally been onboarded within the tool, we can now tie everything back to him, and this subscription for this new cloud service back to his, back to his organization, back to his department, back to him, the individual himself, so that we can go ahead and monitor that additional cloud service that he has. And suppose your employee says, hey, you know what, this is a great laptop that you gave me, but I have a better one, or I want to go ahead and use my phone because I like my phone better. Well, via the service catalog, he can also come in and submit a request, a BYOD request, so that they can go ahead and get his phone ready, or his laptop ready to be used within the organization. So you can see with this one simple example, that everyone is pretty familiar with or has experienced at some point or another. That single pane of glass really helps. You've got a manager who's only going to go to one place. He's going to fill out one request. There's only one form that he's going to need, and at that point it just takes off, and it integrates and communicates and collaborates with all these other systems, right? So that IT is now, instead of just automating within silos themselves to do something quickly within silos, they can go ahead and orchestrate across these silos, where everything is automated within the silos, but then communicating immediately and collaborating with all of the other departments to go ahead and provide better service delivery, quicker service delivery, more transparency into that service delivery, as well as transparency into the pricing, because the manager will now know not only what it takes to bring an employee on board, but what that employee is going to wind up costing him to bring him on board, because it's not all about salary, right? It's all about everything else that employee is going to wind up needing. So if there's a takeaway from this example, is that your enterprise service catalog is your single pane of glass. It's the one place to go ahead and get everything. It's the one place where IT can go ahead and consolidate and collaborate, orchestrate that process, across all the different departments within the organization. It's also a way to give IT enhanced control over the process, as well as the apps and services that they're going to go ahead and provide to their customers. It's also going to allow a place for your customers to track their requests, from beginning to end, so that they know whether or not a ticket had to be automatically cut within the system at some point, because there was an issue with getting an ID set up. Your customers are going to be able to see, the evolution of that request being fulfilled, including any issues that may arise where in the past those things were taken offline to be resolved, and there was no transparency to the manager. Once users, your employees are in, they're also going to be able to manage their own subscriptions. They'll be able to, that marketing server that new employee needs to get set up for some campaign that he was hired to do. Well, if he needs additional disk space on that server or additional RAM to handle something, well, he's going to be able to manage that subscription himself via the enterprise service catalog, because he's going to have, he's going to have a view into that subscription. And he's going to be able to modify that. So now you're taking a lot of that responsibility that used to reside in data center over, to the user, and giving them true self-service. And finally, you're going to have financial transparency, which is really what it's all about, right? You're going to want to see what your spend is. You're going to want to see, what your costs are, so you can have a little bit more of a foothold over those. So how does this all work? And how is it beneficial? Well, for the customers, as we've been saying, single pane of glass. It's one place to make any type of request. Your customers are going to be able to come in and order integrated bundles. That employee onboarding example that we did, it was an integrated bundle. While it was just one form that was filled out, we bundled things in there like computers and laptops and ID badges and email and access to systems and a whole bunch of good stuff. Even drug testing. We got the whole human resource process done. And you can take it even further to have them fill out forms for their 401k and all that. So you can just go ahead and throw all these types of services from all the departments within your organization into the mix. Because it is an enterprise service catalog, it's going to reach out to all of them and do that coordinating for you and do all that orchestration for you. Again, provide true self-service provisioning and auto-provisioning. Your users are going to have more control over it. They're going to be able to see their subscriptions and manage the services that they do have and edit those subscriptions as well. They'll be able to monitor and view that fulfillment status in real time. And again, most importantly, and I think I've probably mentioned price and cost during every slide of this webinar, and you know what? That's really what it all boils down to, right? You need to try and control those costs, and an enterprise service catalog and that one single pane of glass can go ahead and help you do that because you're capturing that transaction at the very beginning. And because you're capturing it there, you're able to manage that asset. You're able to manage the cost. You're able to manage what the spend is all the way through the life cycle itself. So those are the benefits to the customer. What about IT? Well, IT, again, they're going to be able to define and control those available services and provide, again, there's that pricing and cost transparency, back to the back to the customers. They're also going to be able to orchestrate, that fulfillment process instead of having let me go to this one catalog to do this, and then once that's done, I got to go to the other one, and having all those delays. With that orchestration and integration, you can go ahead and just build the one process to go against all of these systems so that you don't have a person going from one to the next, to the next, to the next, and spending a lot of time doing that. They'll be able to, get all the other tools that most of these things have, access reports on request volume, so that they can see, what's being ordered, and they can go ahead and keep the catalog relevant, retire those services that are no longer needed, bring those new ones in that customers may want. And again, what does this do? It helps IT adapt quickly to the needs of the business. And because everything is under IT's control, once again, they're going to wind up, they're going to be able to provide improved security to their customers and to the organization. But again, the one thing I want to emphasize, which we've been emphasizing throughout this whole thing, is that catalog sprawl will definitely help curb your costs. I'm sorry, the enterprise service catalog will help curb your costs. Catalog sprawl will increase those. I think that's it for today on our webinar. I know that we're a little bit, well, actually, we're right at 30 minutes. I will go ahead and take a couple of questions on here. Just one second. I'm trying to read through some of these that are coming up. They're like a little fast and furious. All right. So, how do you recommend getting buy-in from leadership? All right. Well, that's a good question. And you can start by showing them this survey, right? The managers, from my experience, managers like show. They don't really like tell. And if you can show your managers or your leadership that catalog sprawl is an issue, and show them how many of these different customer-facing tools you actually have in your organization. Show them how the cost is. How having all these is increasing in cost. One thing they can relate to is money. And if you show them that, having multiple tools there that, that is causing delays in getting things done, that is, forcing your customers to go out to outside services, which then increase costs. If you can show them all of this, I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to get buy-in a little bit more quickly. Let me see. I have legacy systems in place that I cannot lose. How does a single pane of glass help me with these? Well, single pane of glass will help you, will give you that one place where your users can go. We're not saying to get rid of your legacy systems. You know, there are systems that are designed to do the things that that they do, and they do them very, very well. What we're saying is that the single pane of glass will help you just give that one layer to the customer, and then you can go ahead and tie into those legacy systems. You know, we're not saying replace PeopleSoft. PeopleSoft does an awesome job of managing, you know, your employees and their records and whatnot. But you can integrate into the PeopleSoft, and that way, you know, your manager doesn't have to go to PeopleSoft to go ahead and order, or I'm sorry, put a request in for a new employee. They can go do that within the service catalog instead of going to PeopleSoft to request that and then go into another catalog to do something else and then go into another catalog, you know, and trying to fit those pieces together to get that employee onboarded. He'll have just the one place to go ahead and get that employee onboarded. I'm going to take one more and then we're going to hop. So how does this specifically help with my ITFM? Okay. Because you're going to be capturing that transaction at the very beginning, you know, when you order it, you'll be able to, you'll have that record, so you'll know exactly what your spend was on that particular item. And because you're capturing it at this, you know, when it was originally ordered, you know, those subscriptions that folks have gotten will be monitored, and you can go ahead and track them, and you'll be able to see that. You know, that cost and exactly what the spend is. Now, we're not saying this is an accounting system. You know, we can, you know, you will integrate into an accounting system and go ahead and push that information off onto it. But because you're actually capturing it at the transaction point, that transaction at the very beginning, you're going to have a lot more control over it than you would. If it was just, you know, done at, you know, within any other system. You'll be able to see actually what that cost is for the entire service as opposed to just the bits and pieces here and there. And because everything will be in one place and your customers are going to go into one place, the likelihood that they'll go outside to, you know, to an Amazon or, you know, to a Dell or to some external vendor is going to go ahead and be diminished, and you'll be able to you know, curb the, you know, that those hidden charges within the departments themselves. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up now. Any other questions that have been asked, we will go ahead and email you with a response. Again, thank you for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.